There's a game that I have somewhat avoided making a video on for quite some time, but I think it is time to address it because I can't ignore this anymore. Probably the most insane title I've ever seen, because do you like medieval games? Do you like huge battles? Do you like time travel? Do you know what? Let's just have a look at the Kingmakers trailer. Kingmakers is a new game that is coming out sometime this year, and it's just released its second trailer. I think it was yesterday. 1400 AD, Attack on Ruthin. By the way, just as a quick side note, what a niche place to start off with. 1400, I think it was like Owain, about 250 men attacked a small village on his campaign in the north of Wales. And that's why they've decided to start this trailer. Which makes me think the person behind this, despite what you're about to see being horrific, yes, that was a man in medieval armor riding a motorbike, he might actually know some of his history, which is quite impressive. So we have a guy with an SMG and a grenade launcher on his back riding around on a motocross motorcycle, I think that is, shooting medieval knights on horseback, because that is essentially, fucking hell, pump action shotgun, the knight of a horse. That's what I like to see. When I first saw this in its initial bit of gameplay reveal, I was kind of like, that's a bit weird. But now, it seems like they've actually spent a lot of time polishing and refining the way that this is going to play and the way it looks. And it looks incredibly satisfying. Destructive terrain, of course, you can blow down buildings, because why wouldn't you be able to do? And, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, if they had this kind of technology at the actual battle, it would have gone very differently. Is that an Abrams tank? With a Welsh dragon on the back. Okay, well, I never thought I'd see this. Full castle destruction and building destruction within this medieval world. What they're essentially trying to capture here is this time-traveling, I guess, hero, trying to change the way that history came about and the way that history was formed with your powers of special time travel. I mean, it looks pretty cool to start off with. We're going into 1461, I think that was now, so we're staying around the same time era, which is interesting considering the fact that we can time travel. But yeah, it looks all there is also this RTS. I tell you, I am just like, I'm trying to coherently explain what's going on here, but it is so hard when I can't believe this is a game that actually is going to exist. There is RTS mechanics. You can control a lot of the medieval knights in a Total War style over the top thing, and then that's where you can get down with your jeep and run people over with pickup trucks, so on and so forth. Building these small structures as well in order to produce people and build barricades and things like that, because you are this leader. There is a lot of lore behind this that we'll get into after this trade is finished, but it is absolutely insane. Part of me would just love this to be a new medieval game that you have these RTS mechanics that you can jump in and fight, a bit like Mount and Blade, but I guess that was not the direction that they wanted to go. Conquering the past is the aim of the game, whether it is with guns, trucks, vehicles, tanks, and what looked to be some sort of magic spells. That was a little bit strange, but I guess you can die. This is Kingmakers, and I think we need to talk a little bit about it. So, okay, these are all the trailers that they're putting back to back, but they already have their Steam page at the moment because it is coming for release in 2024. And some of these screenshots are absolutely baffling. Is that a Mosin? I think we also have an AKM on his back there as well, which is fun. Trying to stop a charge with an assault rifle by a medieval knight. Grenade launcher, once again, being able to blow up, full destruction. What more could you want there? And defending your castle from the oncoming medieval knights. But what do the developers say themselves? Go back in time to a war-torn medieval era with a vast arsenal of modern weapons. Change the course of history and save the future in this epic action strategy sandbox. Build your own kingdom, grab a gun, and lead the army to thousands into massive real-time simulated battles, solo or in co-op. And that's something I wanted to talk about because this game does have a co-op element that nobody's really spoken about just yet. The Kingmakers Twitter is insane, as you might expect. You just know the people behind a title like this are absolutely baffling. It is now in the top 50 most wishlisted games on Steam as of March, because I think people just want to know what's going on with this. What are they thinking? What is the plan? So you can build these settlements as well. It isn't just going in and fighting and shooting people with a gun, which was nice to know. It's nice to know there's actually some gameplay and hopefully a bit more content around it. You can place down barricades, you can place down castles, and you can build sort of a semi-kingdom. Now, don't get me wrong, it is not a city builder by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's actually mostly going to be based around the battles themselves. You have this over-the-top strategy of moving places and placement blocks around as well, not just of terrain and buildings, but the troops that you decide to control. And then you can hop down into the battle and try and change the tide. It's one of those ideas that just seems like you've dreamt up with your mates in the bar, but someone's actually decided to make it into a game. Whether it'll work, that's the real question. Because my biggest doubts of a game like this is how it does actually have some longevity. Is it just a gimmick? Because it definitely has a gimmicky side to it. If it was just a straight medieval game, sure, you could see that there's a lot more future and longevity within this title, but the fact that it is time traveling, going back in time with weapons, whether it's guns and vehicles, makes it seem a little bit more gimmicky. And if they can keep the gameplay element as solid and strong as I hope they can, then they might have a chance of making this successful, because there is massive tendencies to release something fairly cheap that has one idea, and in this case, the idea of a time-traveling soldier. Then what? And I think that's the biggest question. What do you do after all of that? Where do we go from here? Is there some real actual gameplay and story behind it? I don't know at this point in time. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to seeing more about this game. There is plenty more of the trailers. In fact, I might just leave you in the rest of the video with these trailers because they are absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at this. This is also going to have a much bigger scale in terms of games like Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. I think they're pretty inspired by that as well, and we're going to see a little bit more along those routes, because the whole background... Sorry, I'd never seen that clip before of that truck just plowing into... Also, did you see this? The fact that these knights and their shields, they get disintegrated. Like, the shields actually have destruction mechanics. You can see the shield is in full form. Shield is now broken into two little bits. That's pretty cool addition. And there's little bits like that that when I see them, I'm like, oh, some actual effort is being put into this. This is not necessarily just going to be some sort of gimmicky game. But I cannot wait to see where it goes. I'm going to be following it on this channel, so make sure you subscribe. Kingmakers, you've got a lot to win me over. Because at the moment, you seem like a funny gimmick. Whether you could be a fun game, I guess we'll find out. Isn't it strange how Netflix make all their historical documentaries with this game as the inspiration? Weird that, innit?